Traditional history books tell us that world events are dictated by brilliant strategists and visionary leaders. That is a total fantasy. In reality, history is mostly a series of accidents caused by monumental morons with too much authority. From a king who tried to beat the ocean into submission, to a man who accidentally strangled himself with his own invention, these are 15 of the most mind-numbingly stupid decisions ever made. If you're having a bad day, just be glad you aren't one of these guys. Number 1. The man who died of irony. Alexander Bogdanov was a Russian revolutionary obsessed with finding the fountain of youth. His scientific theory: you could achieve immortality by swapping blood like trading cards. He even opened a state-funded institute for it. After 11 successful transfusions, he claimed he felt decades younger, likely just a massive placebo effect. However, for his 12th attempt in 1928, he swapped blood with a student suffering from malaria and tuberculosis. Bogdanov was convinced his superior blood would simply neutralize the pathogens. It didn't. He died a slow, painful death, proving that pumping your veins full of parasites is a terrible way to live forever. Number 2. The world's worst Olympic prize. In 1896, Spiridon Louis became a Greek national hero by winning the first ever modern Olympic marathon. King George I was so ecstatic that he offered Spiridon anything he wanted: a palace, a mountain of gold, or a lifetime pension. Spiridon, a humble water carrier, thought about it and decided he just wanted his job to be slightly less tiring. He asked the king for a wooden cart and a donkey. While his humility is legendary, turning down generational wealth for a beast of burden is statistically one of the worst financial trades in the history of sports. Number 3. The king who fired blanks. King Otto of Bavaria spent his 27-year reign legally insane, locked away in a castle while regents ran the country. To pass the time, he developed a disturbing habit. He would lean out of his window with a loaded hunting rifle and take pot shots at the peasants walking by. To protect the public without offending the king, his staff had to secretly replace his live ammunition with blanks every morning. He spent decades hunting his own subjects, never realizing his bullets weren't actually dropping them like flies. Number 4. The emperor with a declined credit card. In the year 193 AD, the Praetorian Guard decided to auction off the entire Roman Empire to the highest bidder. Didius Julianus won the bid by promising 25,000 sesterces to every single soldier. He essentially bought the title of emperor like a used car. The problem? You can't buy loyalty. The Roman public despised him, the generals ignored his orders, and he quickly realized he didn't actually have the cash to pay the army. His reign lasted a pathetic 66 days before a rival general marched on Rome and had him executed. He learned the hard way that a receipt for a throne doesn't come with a refund policy. Number 5. The trillion-dollar icebox. In 1867, Tsar Alexander II decided that Alaska was a useless frozen wasteland that was too expensive to defend. He practically begged the United States to take it off his hands, eventually selling the 1.5 million square kilometer territory for $7.2 million. At roughly 1.9 cents per acre, it remains the cheapest real estate deal in history. While Americans at the time called it Seward's folly, the discovery of gold and trillions of dollars worth of oil turned that useless icebox into one of the most resource-rich regions on the planet. Russia effectively sold a golden goose for the price of a fancy dinner party.
Number 6. Poking the Mongolian dragon. Shah Muhammad II of the Khwarezmian Empire made the single most fatal mistake in human history. He insulted Genghis Khan. The Khan had sent a peaceful trade caravan and diplomats to establish a relationship. The Shah arrested them and executed the ambassadors. Genghis Khan, who actually wanted a trade partner, went into a scorched earth rage. He didn't just invade, he erased the entire empire from the map, even diverting rivers to wash away the Shah's birthplace. By the time the dust settled, millions were dead, and the Shah died penniless on a remote island. Number 7. The posthumous execution. Oliver Cromwell was the ultimate fun killer of English history. As Lord Protector, he banned everything from theater and sports to makeup and Christmas. Soldiers would actually patrol the streets to sniff out the smell of roasting holiday geese. He was so universally loathed that after he died and the monarchy returned, the government dug up his 3-year-old rotting corpse, put it on trial for treason, and publicly hanged it. You have to be a special kind of failure to get executed years after you're already dead. Number 8. The world's worst getaway car. When King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette tried to flee the French Revolution in 1791, they didn't choose a fast, subtle carriage. Instead, they commissioned a massive, custom-built luxury coach that was painted to look expensive and moved at the speed of a turtle. They even stopped for long, leisurely lunches in public areas. Their escape looked more like a parade. A postmaster eventually recognized the king's face by comparing it to the money in his pocket. They were arrested miles from the border and sent straight to the guillotine. Number 9. The Viking ATM. King Ethelred the Unready faced a massive Viking invasion and decided to use a strategy that never works. He tried to buy them off. He paid them thousands of pounds of silver, known as Danegeld, to go home. Unsurprisingly, the Vikings realized that England was just a giant, undefended cash machine. They would take the silver, leave for a week, and then return with twice as many ships to demand a raise. Ethelred bankrupted his entire kingdom, paying for a peace that never actually happened. Number 10. The world's environmental supervillain. Thomas Midgley Jr. managed to damage the Earth more than any single organism in history. He invented leaded gasoline and Freon, CFCs. First, he put lead in gas to stop engine knocking, causing a global spike in neurotoxicity. Then, he created CFCs for refrigerators, which proceeded to rip a hole in the ozone layer. The universe eventually got its revenge. After Midgley contracted polio, he built a complex pulley system to help him get out of bed. One morning, he got tangled in his own ropes and was strangled to death by his own invention.
Number 11. The elephant mistake. During the American Civil War, General John Sedgwick was standing near the front lines while his men ducked for cover from Confederate snipers. Sedgwick, feeling invincible, mocked his soldiers for being afraid of shooters 1,000 yards away. He famously shouted, "They couldn't hit an elephant at this distance." A split second later, a sniper bullet hit him directly under his left eye. He is the patron saint of people who fail to respect the power of comedic timing. Number 12. The rabbit plague. In 1859, Thomas Austin released 24 European rabbits into the Australian wild because he wanted something familiar to hunt. He famously stated, "The introduction of a few rabbits could do little harm." He was catastrophically wrong. Within a few decades, the population exploded from 24 to over 600 million. The rabbits devastated the local ecosystem, caused massive soil erosion, and drove native species to extinction. Austin wanted a weekend hobby. He created a gray, fuzzy apocalypse that Australia is still fighting over 150 years later. Number 13. The Cadaver Synod. Pope Stephen VI hated his predecessor, Pope Formosus, so much that he refused to let a little thing like death stop him from seeking revenge. He had Formosus's 9-month-old rotting corpse dug up, dressed in royal robes, and propped up on a throne to stand trial. A teenage deacon was forced to hide behind the corpse and speak for it. Unsurprisingly, the corpse lost the case. Stephen had the body's fingers of blessing chopped off and threw the remains into the river. It remains the most insane legal proceeding in the history of the world. Number 14. Immunity backfires. King Mithridates VI of Pontus lived in constant fear of being poisoned. To protect himself, he spent his life taking tiny, non-lethal doses of various toxins to build up a biological immunity. He effectively turned himself into a chemical tank. However, when he was finally defeated by the Romans and wanted to take his own life to avoid capture, he swallowed a lethal dose of poison and absolutely nothing happened. He was too immune. He eventually had to beg one of his own guards to stab him with a sword because his body refused to let the poison do its job. Number 15. Whipping the sea. When a storm destroyed King Xerxes I's bridge across the Hellespont, he didn't blame his engineers, he blamed the ocean itself. He ordered his soldiers to give the ocean 300 lashes with heavy chains and to brand the waves with red-hot irons. As they whipped the salty water, the soldiers had to scream curses at the sea for being disobedient. It stands as the ultimate example of how absolute power can make a person lose their grip on reality. There you have it. 15 reasons why humanity is lucky to still be around. We've survived centuries of rulers who were more dangerous to their own people than to their enemies. Looking at this list, do you think we've actually learned anything, or are the colossal idiots of the modern world just better at hiding it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button if you're glad you don't have a king whipping the ocean today, and subscribe to keep your brain sharper than the people on this list.